This is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, and we'll see more so than we've probably ever seen in our lives coming up in the next few months, or even potentially years. So, but anyway, there is one other thing I want to touch base on while I have you guys here, just because I always hear this being talked about, and it seems like there's like a holy grail out there and no one can find it. And what it is it's the answer to why gaps get filled. And I'm not sure what all the confusion is. Um, it's very obvious. It's clear. And yet I have heard like, you know, 10 or so influencers talk about it specifically in the crypto space, and none of them seem to have any kind of like idea. I just hear people say, gaps get filled because they just do. Okay, you go back and they just do. They get filled. And then, they talk about, but you can't trade on that, or you can trade on that. Or, okay, look, the reason gaps get filled is consensus. Okay, it's consensus on the market and it's consensus on price. All right, so you have to think about it like this: you have a bunch of market participants. All right, and Fridays, every Friday at closing time, they punch their clock and they all go home, and the market's closed. And then Monday, they all have everything that happened over the weekend, and they can, take all that into account. And then Monday morning, the market's open, and then price moves according to what happened over the weekend. All right, and they have full consensus because the market's always closed or always open, the only time anybody can participate in it. All right, so now you have the crypto space, and it's because of consensus. You have crypto space, and now you have a 24-hour market. All right, and that's fine, and the markets would just fluctuate and everything. And anytime you could see a pump, anytime you could see a dump, it could be based on like Asia time, it could be based on USA, whatever's going on, that's fine because the markets are always open, and that's totally cool. All right, now you take those two markets and you put them together. So now you have essentially a bunch of money that is locked up over that time when the market's closed and the price stops. And then meanwhile, the market continues to move. So you have partial market participants moving the markets. So if all of a sudden over the weekend or overnight price moves in a massive way, and then the markets open back up on Monday morning or the next day or whatever, and you don't have price consensus between all market participants, they don't agree on what the price of these assets are, all of a sudden you're going to see violent movement, and that's going to balance back out the price, because what they're doing is they're saying, whoa, this is way overvalued now, I'm selling. Or they'll say, whoa, this is way undervalued now, I'm buying. And all that is it's because there's no consensus on the market, because all price is just the agreement of the market on the value of an asset at the current time. And then it's up to you to determine, is that value undervalue or is that asset, overvalued? And that's what closing a gap is all about. That's what gaps are all about. All of a sudden, part of the market participants are not taking place in the market. They're not participating because their portion of the market is closed. The price has stopped moving. Meanwhile, markets continue to move while that market is closed. And then when it opens back up, you can see often that violent price movement back to that point, because it's the market balancing back out to the true, it's the true value of the market is essentially what happens. Because once you throw in the rest of those participants, then the market is able to remix up the pot and determine what is the actual value now that everybody's here and paying attention. Imagine just taking a vote on something while, half of the vote isn't there. Maybe you got two brothers, and you and your two brothers, the three of you, vote on what you're gonna have for dinner, and you decide you're gonna have cotton candy and macaroni and cheese, and then your mom gets home and she says, yeah, I don't think so, bruh. We're having meatloaf. And you forgot that the three of your votes don't count because, mom's in charge. And that's the same way the markets work. All the participants in the world can vote while, part of the participants aren't there. But when Big Daddy shows up, he's gonna smack that market back to where it belongs. So But anyway, I keep hearing people talk about the gap, and they just don't seem to understand it, and it makes no sense. And I guess the answer is that you can't just Google why gaps get filled, maybe, and that's why people can't seem to figure it out. Because if you've ever read a book or participated in a market before, or have basic understanding, you'd be able to figure these things out. But apparently, a bunch of people just regurgitating like something that they saw and don't understand leads to like a giant game of telephone with no answers at the end. So, but anyway, there's a little bit of education for the crew as always. I already know that you guys are getting better for it. I'm getting better for it. We're definitely growing as a community. So, I'm sure we'll hear we'll hear the rest of the space here talking about a market agreement and all this good stuff here soon. Just like I've been hearing people talk about hindsight TA, and I'm not mad. I love it. I'm glad. We really are influencing this space together, guys. We really are an influencer. We may be small, but we're touching just the right people in just the right places. And I'm not talking about that Michael Jackson stuff. All right, so there we got it, guys. We got some TA for today. I think there's a high likelihood that we do get a potential bounce here and see one of these key fib levels. I'm not convinced that we're just going to break that down into this area right here. But at the same time, I think the most important thing is to be cautious. You'll remember when we were back up here, the target was and always has been that 7,800 range based on our longer term fibs here. And we're almost back down to it. So it's, there's definitely a possibility that we're going to come down here and get this 77, hit the 236, the 0.5, the 382, and then put in our this is the one. This is the inverted head and shoulders that I called out way back when, before it ever formed and there was any way we could even potentially validate it. And this was the one. This is the mother of all head and shoulders. Because if we can get this, we can break through this and we can hit that moon, baby. And, we can all look back and say, yep, we were there when it happened. When the traditional markets crashed, the system fell apart, and the inverted head and shoulders skyrocketed crypto to the moon, baby. Crypto, trend, trader, and I'm out of here. Actually, you know what? Before we go, do I want to slap it on here? Just so we can get that visual? Because I know some of you guys probably, I don't blame you for not just like going back and watching all my old videos or anything. Don't get me wrong. But I know some of you probably didn't see this because you are new. But this is basically the moonshot head and shoulders. Okay? This is it. This is what we're hoping for. This inverted head and shoulders. We came down here. We got the bounce. Got smashed at the neckline. Okay? Came back down. Put in the head. Came back up. Got smashed at the neckline. Come back down. And now look. We can make it all the way down to the 786. Or we could get down to like the 236 right here. It would be a little less symmetrical. But because of this big time consolidation, and then we just got like that spring right there, I think it's very likely that we could get something similar like that. And then bam, I'm telling you, we could get enough momentum pulling up to that neckline here that we get that big boy move. And look, don't get excited yet though, because Bitcoin's going to zero. Alright? Calm down. I don't want to get you all pumped up. But look. Look here, listen. I want to show you something. Where's that at? 15 grand, baby. 15K. We could basically take out that swing right here. Potentially get like a backtest consolidation. And then test our all-time highs. And again, I don't want to get everybody all pumped up and like overly excited, but the possibility is there. We just got to pay attention to it. But again, that does almost like require continued downside. So keep that in mind. That basically like we need more downside if we want that situation to to come out. So, but there's a very high likelihood, I think, that this could play out realistically, or it just blows straight through and I was wrong. But I'm definitely going to take that trade when the time comes. And I mean, it's not just going to happen overnight. Like I said, I mean, we may see that pop up here very soon. We might see that over the weekend, and then potentially get smashed back down on Monday. Um, as market participants take advantage of that, and we do potentially like close the gap or whatever. So, well, there you have it, crypto trend trader. I may do another video tonight too. I'm out of here.